Hi everyone, Chris Torres here from the Tourism Marketing Agency with another digital tourism show. First off, I want to say I hope you're all staying well. I hope you're all staying safe. As for those who are watching on video, you can see I'm in my back garden. We're still in the lockdown situation here in Scotland or in the UK as general, just like many others of you out there. But as always, we always like to put out free advice as much as we possibly can. And that's why in this episode, I am speaking with Evan Tipton of Tomis. Now, Tomis run a marketing agency as such, but with more of a sort of software arm to it and providing solutions and how you can help you grow your tour business. Now, with this episode, me and Evan will be discussing how you can market your business going forward during this crisis and what this future possibly holds for when we come out the other end. So this will hopefully give you some invaluable insights into how you can market your tour business during the COVID crisis. I know Evan, like myself, has been putting out lots of free content and lots of free advice. So we're going to share some of those ideas and more thoughts in this episode. So hopefully you can get through this crisis as quickly as we can and become a stronger tour business going forward, as I say. So welcome to episode 237 of the Digital Tourism Show. So Evan, thank you so much for joining us on the Digital Tourism Show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I've been following along for years, so I'm honored to be here.
So for those who do not know yourself and who Tomis are, tell us a little bit about both.
Absolutely. Yep, my name is Evan Tipton, and I'm the founder and CEO at Tomis. So Tomis stands for Tour Operator Marketing Intelligence Software, which is a mouthful, so we went with Tomis. Before we started Tomis, I was running a marketing agency similar to yourselves, and we ended up folding that agency into Tomis and added on a software arm as well. So we do marketing services and software for tour operators around the world.
Excellent. And is there any specific part of the software that you sort of focus on? I know you guys do a lot of stuff with like chatbots and things like that as well. Is that sort of the major part of it?
Yep, we've got kind of two core products. One is this automated chatbot for operators, and then the other is a marketing intelligence app. So we frame it as trying to become the HubSpot for travel. So it provides a lot of custom reporting on your marketing and sales data, as well as automation such as text message or automated text messages pre and post trip, and then other kind of streamlining customer communication tools.
Yeah. So for those who maybe not quite understand that, so in terms of both my company and Tourism Marketing Agency and Tomis, we both offer marketing services, but Tomis have that added layer of the various bits of software and chatbots and the text messaging and things like that on top of that, which is and it's obviously the sort of CRM side of it behind that as well. Would that be a fair assessment?
Yep. We're working on the CRM piece, so that is not live yet. That's kind of the next big build for us.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So you're going to be busy then?
Copious amounts of free time, let me tell you. No, yeah, we stay busy, certainly, and now we stay busy working from home.
Well, that's what we're here to talk today about. So obviously a lot of tour operators and tourism businesses will hopefully be watching and listening to this on the podcast. And we both put out articles, and I put out the sort of coronavirus battle plan. You guys wrote an article about marketing during the crisis as well, etc. So both felt it was a good idea to join forces, talk together about how other operators, etc., can market their business through this period, and ideas that they can maybe take forward. And some people may be a bit surprised at why our two agencies talking together about this, and it's just like, this is what I love about the tours and activities sort of sector, is that yes, you may have other companies who some may seem as rivals or anything like that, but we all are here to work together and help the industry as a whole. And there's plenty of business out there for everyone. So if we can all work together, help all the tour operators, help them market themselves, help them market and gain direct business, which is obviously a big focus for what I try to push, etc. It's all for the betterment of the industry, and that's why people like ourselves come together and chat about these things. So
Absolutely. And I think there's, just like in most markets, there's more demand than one business could keep up with. So it makes much more sense for us to collaborate than directly compete.
Definitely. The same with a few other businesses that we spoke about at Arrival as well. We always try to make up those connections and everything else. TRK and the United States as well. Another big marketing agency for tourism. Well, it's a small sort of niche sector, as it were, in terms of what we do. So big combined forces is certainly a good thing to do. But in terms of, sorry, there you go.
Well, and maybe you've probably seen this as well, but I would say more of our clients than not have come from, an agency experience where they've felt burned in the past. So I think it's important for, there's kind of a handful of us in this space to, help expose each other, if anything, just because there are a lot of lesser quality agencies out there.
Yes, and I'm sure it's the same for you, but and I've mentioned this many times to customers, pretty much any new client or customer who comes to us has had some form of bad experience with an agency. And technically they tend to be an agency who have no sort of focus on tourism, for example, or tourism activities.
Right.
And it does make, I'm sure it does for this yourself as well, it does make your job a lot harder trying to convince companies like we are here to help you and we're not here to shaft you as well, like some of the other companies as well. So yeah, it's a constant battle.
Right. Yep. They've heard this before, but it will be different this time. So yeah, and we can speak to more of some of these services that we both offer, and whether either one of our respective businesses are offering them or providing them for you. I think one of our goals today and in our respective posts that we've written on this matter is to just give you tangible things that you can do on your own. We don't necessarily have to do them for you.
Yeah. So one of the things you wrote in your article was about laying down the digital foundation. So what was the sort of thought process behind that our listeners and watchers could take forward?
Yep. Almost every new client that comes on has some sort of gap or hole, I would say, in their tracking. And your conversion tracking is the plumbing of the house. So without that being airtight, we can only make the decisions that we can make going forward are just not informed based on accurate data. So, or partial picture. So we spend a handful of hours up front with every client, just making sure every kind of touch point or action that we would care about on a website is tracking properly. And I think a lot of operators think that their tracking is set up, but in reality, it's not. And I don't think the reservation systems do a great job in helping set this up with operators. But I don't know what you've seen on that front.
Oh, I agree. Don't get me wrong. There's some reservation systems out there that are fairly easy to implement tracking software and tracking codes and everything else. But some of the big ones, I won't mention names, but some of them are mightily difficult and pretty much impossible to do. And you have to do workarounds and everything else to do that. So yeah, I think a lot of these reservation systems could do a lot better in terms of being able to implement tracking codes and stuff like that. And I know a few of them sort of keep them behind closed doors, so they only, especially the ones who do their own, I won't mention names, but the ones who do their own SEO and marketing for as part of their own operations and reservation systems, sort of keep them behind closed doors to make it even harder for outside agencies to be able to take that, which is not a great thing in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. Multiple Google Analytics scripts don't always play nicely together.
No, certainly don't. And I know you make a really good point, and when we are taking on customers as well, we never ever take on a customer for full-time marketing unless they go through the research phase. No, we have to go through exactly, what are they doing just now? How is their current setup? How is our current tracking setup? We do a competitor analysis, all these other things, and we sort of say you have to go through this section first. It's a one-off section. It's a one-off sort of cost, as it were, in terms of that. They can take that information and go off and do things themselves or take it to another agency if they really wanted to. But we
Right.
do that initially first and sort of say, look, you need this. If you're not going to do this, then there's no point continuing with any sort of monthly marketing. So again, having that foundation is vitally important. So I completely agree with you on that aspect and getting that right.
Yeah. Yep. And then, once that's set up, being able to have that reliable historical data, it's I think operators and small businesses as a whole are really just starting to come around on this. I mean, even if you look at how the topics have evolved at some of our trade shows over the last few years, I think people, operators know that they should be doing this now, but it's still not necessarily a mission critical item. But once you see the difference in decision making or targeting in your Facebook campaigns or Google Ads campaigns, it really does make all the difference. So I think we're on the same page and just want to hammer that one home for folks.
Yeah, for sure. And to give you a sort of, you might be able to give an example yourself, but to give you an example from our experience, so we have a customer from Ireland. And one of the things that they said to us was, no, most of our customers that we see coming out to us are the sort of 50+ market, or the sort of older generation. Saying that I'm 45 now, so I'm soon going to be in that older generation, so it's quite scary. But they are saying that was the sort of older market, and that's what their customers, and that's where most of our website traffic and everything came from. But when you actually looked at their Google Analytics, when you actually looked at their Facebook followers, half of their website traffic came from the 25 to 34-year-old market. It's going, well, people are obviously interested in what you do, but they're obviously bouncing off and not going away because the content there and the way you're marketing the business is all around the 50+ market. So they gave them two options. It was like, okay, the marketing you obviously done beforehand wasn't maybe hitting the right mark, or any of the paid advertising or anything you were doing wasn't hitting the right mark, or you keep doing what you're doing and you create new products for that market. And that's exactly what they did. They created products for that market. So it opened up a brand new channel for them. And that's why having historical data, that's why having these tracking codes set up correctly can give you this insight to say, right, does it open up new opportunities? Is your marketing actually doing what it's meant to be doing in terms of the right demographics, etc.? That's why it's so vitally important for that side of it to happen properly.
And I think it's one where consumers they don't purchase in this repeatable linear kind of fashion. And so, being able to understand what the purchasing behavior and kind of demographics are in February versus July. If your targeting doesn't change in July from February, that not always, but it probably should. So knowing that bachelorette, party groups are booking in the spring for, fall bachelorette parties, and they're coming from Chicago and New York, that's very informative for these campaigns. And then I think, and not to get too far into the technical weeds, but in addition to the tracking codes, even just getting things set up like a contact form database so that you have a historical record of every form that was ever submitted. And ideally you have a different form, on your corporate page than you do on your, tour specific page. So there's a qualitative data component as well. And I think, this might be an opportunity where operators have a little more time on their hands to be able to go back and look at, are there operational kind of items that you could be working on that are being raised in forms or feedback that you're getting after the trip, or maybe it's time to just go through, old TripAdvisor reviews. So I think that's a different type of data that can sometimes maybe be overlooked.
No, for sure. And one of the things that we find as well, and it's what we're advising a lot of our customers to do during this coronavirus and COVID-19 crisis, is saying, no, at the moment, it's selling to someone's not really the thing to do at this time. It's giving them, and I know we'll come on to this later, but it's giving them inspirational content and everything else. But at least try to gather up email addresses and that type of thing from the content you put out there, and build up your email marketing list, because that will just that small form of data will help set you up for future advertising and things like you can do in the future through Facebook and everything else. And a lot of people don't even have a newsletter sign up or anything like that on their website, because they think, oh, I'm not going to send out any emails. That's not what I really want to do. They don't work, and it's like, that's not the point. It's collecting that data to do other things online that no, through
Yeah.
paid advertising, everything else. And you know this already. So, and part of that will be through the chatbots that you guys do as well, on the website. So, how do you find how do you find how important would you define chatbots on a tour operator's website? How does it help build up the sales sort of channels?
Yeah. Well, I'm a little biased because we're big bot people, but it's so the core competency is certainly being able to answer those frequently asked questions. So decreasing whether it's 100 or 1,000 per month unnecessary phone calls or emails, that's saving you and your staff time. And there's it's also kind of enhancing this their customer experience. One thing that for those that have chatbots, this would be a time to review those historical conversation logs. The chatbot gets it gets everything you could imagine from website visitors. People don't hold back. So we've had operators actually ask if we just released kind of a new dashboard where you can review the chatbot logs about 2 months ago. But we've had operators in the past before that ask to get records so that they can review them to help train their sales staff, just so they can, go over what current as well as potential customers are asking. So we've been very pleased with the success. It's been live for a year now, and the kind of third piece to it, outside of frequently asked questions and kind of enhancing that customer experience, because it's on the website. You can also basically respond via text message, and Facebook Messenger. It's rolling out here soon. But we've seen a really strong sales kind of enablement component. So those that interact with the bot are converting much higher on the website, or much higher than all website kind of traffic. So there is an interesting sales piece to it, and there's a lot of bot options out there. There's live chat, and then there's the automated version. So something worth trying, if you haven't done it in the past, trying it out during this slower period.
Especially when there's a lot of concerned customers out there and everything else, they might want reassurance, and if it's just quick enough or really easy for them just to have a quick chat on a live chat rather than go through emails and everything else, it sort of makes sense. And I like the fact that you can see you've made it so you can see the historical data, because you mentioned there creating FAQs, which is obviously a vitally important thing, but even basing some of the topics around creating sort of blog articles and everything else, which is things that people may be searching highly for, and checking it as that a high search term, then creating articles or FAQs around that, and then anyone searching for that will come back to the website and find that information, etc. And so having that historical data can be massive, even just from an SEO point of view as well.
Yeah, so and I know you pointed out the kind of the importance of content creation, and this is a great time for it, and maybe we'll kind of transition into that. But with the chatbot, I'll go back to that bachelorette example. So if a common query might be, hi, I'm planning a bachelorette party. And so the chatbot can respond and link them to the page where they can book, but it'll also link to, a blog post from a year and a half ago about how to plan the perfect, Nashville bachelorette party. So it's kind of a indirect bot effect. But I think, there are positive kind of SEO benefits behind it. Did you want to maybe get into, because I know for my team, we're really kind of taking a step back and reassessing our content strategy. Is that something you guys are doing as well over there?
In terms of our own content or our customers?
Oh, sorry, for clients.
Not for clients. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, in terms of content, obviously with the whole coronavirus thing going around just now, the well, we're advising a lot of customers that things like Google Ads, stuff like that, aren't really probably necessary at the moment. Yeah, if you can
Right.
afford it, put a very small bit of budget, even if it's just for a brand level. So if anyone's searching your brand name, etc., then keep that going. But for the most part, no one is searching to buy a product. They are searching to look for content. They are searching to find and be inspired of places they wish they could be. Because no, I did a webinar the other day, and with everything that's going on just now, you're, and God forbid we don't have to go through anything like this again, but you're never hopefully going to have another opportunity where you pretty much have a captive audience, all sitting at home, all surfing the web
Right.
more, and just looking for things that they wish they could be doing or want to do once we get out of this crisis that we're in. So now is the time to give them inspiring content, whether it's written content, whether it's videos, whether travel guides, you name it. No, anything you can
Mm.
do to generate that content now is what people should be doing and operators should be doing. There will be other competitors out there and companies, competitors who won't be doing any of this. So now is a good opportunity to get ahead of them in terms of search rankings, in terms of brand awareness, and everything. So that's what we're informing a lot of our customers. It says focus on the content. So a lot of our own customers and our own clients have switched from paid advertising onto content. They maybe do some
Yeah.
Facebook advertising just to boost that content, but again, there's no selling whatsoever. It's all about brand awareness. It's all about inspiring people and giving them planting the seed, as it were, in their minds to sort of say, when we do come out of this, which will hopefully be around July, August time, and even at that, I think the latter part of 2020, early 2021, it's going to be, and from all the stats you see from Arrival and everyone else, the focus is going to certainly be on the staycation market, the local markets. International travel is going to take a bit of time to recover. So it's all content based around that. What can you do around your local communities? What can you do to inspire those around you and those destinations around you? If you're lucky enough to be in a place where you have other destinations around you and you're not an island like the UK where we're in, but it's
Yeah.
easier to get to. It's all content around that. Now, I don't know if that's what you're finding, if that's what you're advising, but that's certainly what we're doing for our own customers.
Yep. Yeah, and I think not just is this the only time you'll have such a captive audience, but hopefully the only time you'll ever have to have this much time.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what we both tried to put together is how to best spend this time, and we're definitely doing the staycations and the content strategies you just outlined. We're starting to have conversations with state or regional kind of like tourism promotional entities to figure out how are they going to shift their focus and their spending. So in our backyard here in the state of Montana, you know, they're pulling back on a lot of obviously international advertising for the summer. We've got two major national parks that rely heavily on especially Chinese travel and international arrivals. So they're not going to not spend that money. So where are they gonna are they gonna double down in Chicago and wrap buses with images of the mountains of Montana? So I think that strategies like that are things operators can do around the globe. It's just figure out where the ride the coattails and figure out where they're going to how they're going to shift the allocation of their own advertising budgets. So trying to be kind of trying new things, I guess, and being a bit more strategic and creative, which I think there's a lot of folks trying to come up with new product ideas too. I know we've had some conversations with our clients about whether it's going virtual or what kind of new product ideas have you worked with some of your clients on?
Yeah, so we've advised a lot of customers. Give you an example back to one of our customers in Ireland, for example. They do a lot of tours in terms of guided tours, multi-day tours, that type of thing. But again, with us coming out of this crisis, a lot of people may be a little bit wary to be in sort of large groups or even smaller groups in terms of taking out tours, etc. So what we're seeing is even now for the local market as well as any possible future international markets, why not take your skill sets and do self-guided tours and create packages around that, so you can still organize everything for them. You can give them all the itineraries, you can give them all the hotels, and you organize all that for them and the places to stay, but then they go off and drive around themselves and do it themselves. So things like that, virtual tours for sure, advising a few companies on that. I was speaking to one of our customers in Auckland, and sort of saying to her that she runs food tours, and sort of saying, well, why don't you? Well, a lot of the establishments where she takes people to, like restaurants and takeaways and that type of thing, are still open. The ones who can deliver food to the local community even during the lockdowns. So why not using your partners to still give them business by doing a virtual tour where that food is delivered? And luckily, she has a local market, but delivering that food to the people who basically spend $10 or something on a virtual tour, that food, or maybe a little bit more if they're getting food, but that food is delivered to those people, and then she sits on a call like this or on Zoom or whatever and does an online tour, by talking
Yeah.
about the food, talking about the establishments, everything else. So there's so many things that you can do online, and with the battle guide that I wrote and the guide that you wrote, not one of those little things is going to generate you lots of cash or make your business survive. But if you try two or three different things, it will hopefully be enough to generate you a little bit of income, raise your brand awareness, that it'll be enough to get you through this, that you'll have maybe a stronger foundation or a business for that matter at the end of this, and we will come out at the end of this. So we're
Yeah.
focusing on that and telling people to do that, as well as and you might have your own thoughts on this, as well as telling people they really need to start focusing on direct channels in terms of direct bookings, because what we're finding, and I've had the pleasure of speaking to a number of operators across the world, just speaking to them to see how they're getting on, and what has become clear is the ones who are 80% direct, 20% OTA, for example, should generally be okay. But the ones who are 80% OTA, 20% direct, are in a really bad situation at the moment. So by not having those direct channels, I don't know if your take is on that. But...
Yep, I couldn't agree more, and that's it. It's unfortunate to be. I think we both agree that there's a time and a place for, the OTA bookings, but having to be that reliant in a time like this, it doesn't build resiliency, which is important in business. And so, having to wait for cruise ships to come back or international arrivals to get back to where they were, it's unfortunate. And so I think that's just the focus we both place. It is for very good reason on SEO and content marketing. And before I forget, actually, Chris, there's two new product ideas that I was going to share with folks.
Yeah,
One, so thinking about your business, my business, most businesses are they're now working remote, and so I'm actually working on finalizing or signing up with Avatar Tours. They created a corporate remote team building product. And I got an email from them, and I thought my team is very excited about that. So there's different spins I think people could put to try and engage, these remote corporate groups. And then the second kind of new, not necessarily product idea, but we have a client that's been running daily raffles. Now they do have a retail component, but and it's just on Instagram, but incredible traction. So I think the Instagram, it'd be interesting to see the usage of Instagram and Facebook over the last month compared to the previous year.
Well, you make an interesting point on that. What we've been finding and the people we've been speaking to is what you'll actually find, especially for the older generation, if you happen to be a tour operator that attracts the over 60s, that type of, you're finding that more and more of that generation is now signing up to Facebook, is now doing calls like this or Zoom calls. So more and more of them are getting connected so they can stay in touch with their families online, and if they have family abroad. So what you'll probably find is going forward, is more of that type of demographic will be easier to target on things like Facebook because they're going to be more of them online. So,
Yeah.
and one of the things that, and I don't know what this just came to me off the top of my head, so feel free to use it, but I don't know. Obviously, you've got your chatbot there, but what I can see going forward, and it helps with the human connection with the operator, is actually offering on the website chats like this, where you're actually, rather than just a chatbot, you're actually speaking to someone face to face and trying to close the sale, as it were. You maybe see more of that happening online, because it's just creating that connection. It's humanizing the brand, and I love to see that going forward, rather than just being more sort of text based or email based and stuff like that, but bringing that sort of human interaction back, even though it's just through a video conference call. I think that would be a great step forward for a lot of operators as well.
Interesting. We should talk more often, Chris. We'll come up with more product ideas for ourselves. Yeah, my 75-year-old mother got on her first Zoom conference this week, and she tried to hug the phone to hold it up to her ear. But yeah, yeah.
Well, no, I certainly think it's if nothing else, we're all going through heartache. We're all going through. Some companies are listening to this or watching this will certainly be desperate. They'll certainly be worried. They'll certainly be. I mentioned it before in another chat. I think I was talking to Peter Syme as well, and it's like going through grief. It's like, first you're in shock, then you're going through the sort of depression stage, then you get angry and everything. And this is exactly what this is like. We're going to go through all those stages, but at the end of it, I strongly believe that we're going to be a stronger, more connected community and connected sector going forward at the end of this. Purely just because we have to connect more online. We have to connect more, talking to neighbours and making sure our neighbours are all fine and everyone's healthy and everyone's. I think we should hopefully, maybe I'm just being optimistic, but hopefully be a more of a human race at the end of all this.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
no, and I couldn't agree more. I also think, each and every day that goes by, there's pent up travel demand, just, stockpiling. So I think we definitely, it may take a little bit of time, longer than we'd like, but I think we can get back to, not just where we were, but an even better place with a better human race.
Yeah.
So
it's almost starting to sound like a Michael Jackson song. So
yeah.
So if there was one piece of advice you would give anyone listening or watching to this, in terms of what they should be doing in terms of their own marketing, if there was only one aspect they should be working on or they should be looking at, what would that be?
Well, I don't want to take your answer. We didn't practice this, so
No.
I would go with the content marketing, and make sure that it also encompasses, a review. It's informed by a kind of review of, the different types of data we talked about. So it's kind of a cheat answer, because I get content marketing, blogging, plus a little bit of historical data review. But that's what I would go with, and just knowing that, next July, when you're in the middle of peak season, you're going to wish you had 12, at least blog templates just stockpiled. So blog away.
Yeah, in a similar vein, it's like, even if you don't publish all the content initially, though, this is a prime time to create a backlog of content. We're literally going to be in this for at least 3-4 months, maybe, of this. Hopefully by July, August, and this will obviously be different from different destinations across the world, because it's obviously happening at a staggered sort of phase. But if you can create 3 months worth of content, or spend 3 months creating content, video content, written content, you may find that you have, by the end of it, if you decide to write a blog every couple of days or do a video once a week, you may find you've got a year's worth of content coming out of this, and it's something you don't really need to worry again for at least another 6 months, because you've got stuff there that you can be posting out and creating and doing while you're still posting stuff out just now. Obviously, it's vitally important you do it just now as well, but you could literally create a year's worth of content just now, and have that ready and waiting.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like you pointed out, there's maybe a historical high in terms of, captive audience as well as, unfortunately, but time on operators' hands. So there's opportunities here, and hopefully we can help more and more of these operators uncover and kind of act on them.
For sure, and that's why companies like yourselves and mine exist, because we see the value in direct bookings. We see the value in doing your own marketing. Yes, using online travel agents is an important step. Every company should have some form of business coming through an OTA, because it allows you to reach a wider audience. It allows you to get your products out there, or even test products to see how it works in a bigger market. But please, if anyone's listening or watching this, if you are one of those companies who heavily relies on OTA, focus on direct now. You need to focus on direct, because there will be another crisis at some point in the future, whether it's this coming back, whether it's a terrorist attack or a volcano erupting again in Iceland, whatever it's going to be, there will be something else that will come up in the future. And it's planning for that, making sure that if an online travel agent or another partner closes and shuts down tomorrow, you still have a business that you can still operate and still make money and generate revenue. And that's why businesses like us exist, to help you do that. So.
Yep. And whether it's, competition or a natural disaster, you mentioned it. I mean, the content piece, the organic traffic, and the SEO, getting that website to convert better, which we didn't talk as much about today, but those are the best ways to kind of insulate the house and create that resiliency so that you can withstand whatever the next event is. Hopefully it's not at this scale, but perfect.
No, I can't agree more. Well, Evan, I'm sure we could probably do another series of videos after this, because we can. I'm sure there's plenty to talk about. You mentioned websites, etc., and optimizing them. But I can't thank you enough for your time. Hopefully, the people who are watching and listening to this can get some valuable insights into what we do. So, if anyone wanted to know more about Tomis, where would they go?
Tomis.tech. So it's spelled TOMIS, and I'll shoot you over. You have my email address. They can happy to answer any questions via email, and otherwise we'll probably see you online, Chris.
Yeah, and hopefully once the event season starts back up properly, we'll catch up at an event.
Yeah, perfect. That sounds good. Look forward to it.
Well, thanks again for your time.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. We'll see you.